What's up, guys? Coach Stanley here,
Coach Lester.
Coach Matt.
Coach Austin.
and we're back with another episode of Next Level Fit Podcast. All right, so episode 18. He's got something talking in the background. I didn't know what I was like. I thought it was an echo of myself. But anyway, so we're gonna kind of talk about. We're gonna go like through the nitty gritty of the summer programs that we got going on right now, and then the nutrition that will be added with it. So if you're the type of person that is willing to go that extra level, get to the next level that you want to be at, obviously that's why we call ourselves Next Level, because we're going to get you to the next level. If you want a serious training program, and it's a real program, I mean literally like I set your numbers for you, you go throughout a 12-week cycle, you're going to hit a probably a simulated max, not necessarily a 1 rep max, just for safety reasons. But we're going to get to, we're going to make sure we're getting stronger, we're getting leaner, we're getting, looking sexy for the summer. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your goal is for this summer, let's get jacked and tan. And necessarily everybody's jacked is not the same jacked. You know what I'm saying? So, you could be jacked like this, or you could be jacked like this, jacked like that, jacked like that. We don't have a female right now, so I mean, or jacked like that, imaginary. So, let's go. Let's kind of jump in. So, like, I kind of got like the programs in front of me right now. Well, at least just the first 4 weeks. So what I did was I kind of sat down and I was really thinking of what kind of program I can bring to the Myrtle Beach area or all over the place if you want to join in, because we do have the online option with Coach Lester, and as well as you can do the online program that he has. Or if you have your own gym and you want to do strength training, you can do it that way too, but you'll go through Coach Lester as well. So, online programming, Coach Lester. If you want to train inside a facility, Coach Stanley. Austin, he'll be here too as well. Coach Wu, I was like, Coach Austin sounds weird. Coach Austin. But anyway, all right, so like I said, I got the programs right here in front of me. Today we started, so it is June 22nd. June 22nd is Monday. I know this is going to be aired on Wednesday. So we started the program on Monday, and I really sat down and I tried to think of a program that was the best thing that we could bring for everyday people that still want to train like an athlete. So I brought that athletic feel to it, and I sat there and I thought about a program that I put together for athletes for the summer. And I sat there and I kind of thought about it for a long time, and it was a mixture of what we kind of did with football a little bit, and a mixture of what we did with volleyball players, and a mixture of what we did with baseball. And the one thing that I did see the best way was do an undulated program. All right, so if you don't know what an undulated program is when you're going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. So to show you kind of how this is going on, like week 1, their main movements, so the squat, bench press, so you got your front and your back squat, your bench press, and your deadlifts. Their first week was 3 sets of 12. All right, 3 sets of 12 at 55%. Now, some people will fight me on this because I do love me some volume. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's how I was trained. That's how I still train now with my current coach. That's how I was taught volume training with hypertrophy. There's several different ways you can do hypertrophy, but usually if you really want to get in that hypertrophy range, 10 or more, baby. 10 or more. We've already done a program with 10, so why not push it? So they got 12. Could have been 15, but I didn't want to kill nobody. So 3 sets of 12. So 3 sets of 12. 3 sets of 12 on the first week. Now, also with their Olympic movements. Now, usually I don't do this, but because the percentages are super low, they have 4 sets of 6. Okay. Remember, these percentages are low, so I'm not just like out the wazoo making you do 70, 80% for 6 reps. I don't personally do that, and I'm an Olympic weightlifter. Okay. If you can talk about my program today, I had snatches. I did 4 sets of 1 rep. Now it was a 2 plus 1, but it was like 2 pulls plus 1 snatch. All right, at 70 or at 80%. So that shows you we don't normally program that high of a rep. All right. So, but that's why their percentages are really low. And pretty much what I'm doing is in a quote unquote, it's like I'm breaking it down, breaking the movements down, making it where they have to focus on technique when they're tired. Okay. There's a reason why there's a high volume, because I want them to focus on their technique when they're tired. All right. I know it breaks down. If you want, I've talked about this several times. You take a bouncy ball, and you slam it down to the ground as hard as you can. After 3 bounces, it's not going to be that high volume of a bounce. It's going to be a little small bounce. And there's a reason, because I want you to really dial in and focus on your technique. A lot of this stuff with cleans, a lot of this stuff with snatches, which we don't actually program a percentage, because you're not an Olympic weightlifter. If you're working at a desk, what's the point of you getting a PR on snatch? I mean, unless you're going to do a CrossFit Games, which nobody in my gym is going to do CrossFit Games. Nothing against CrossFit, just saying. That's not what I train. You want CrossFit, go to CrossFit Gym. So, so 4 sets of 6, and I don't set their weights. I kind of just let them just do what they can do. And I don't care if it's just a barbell. If you use the barbell this whole program, your technique better be right. That's the only thing I worry about. All right, technique over quality over quantity is what we're looking for. And then like the standing presses, that's also 3 sets of 12, but 3 sets of 12 with no actual percentage as well too, because I like putting standing press in programs just because it helps with bench press. The same with incline bench, dumbbell bench, single arm press and stuff like that. That stuff helps with the building of a bench press. So that's why we always put those in those programs. Clean pulls, we got clean pulls in there because obviously the power cleans, everybody loves to do power cleans, but nobody knows how to pull correctly. So that's why we put those clean pulls in there, so making sure we're learning to do the pull right, the scoop right, and then pull yourself underneath. All right, so that's kind of like how we structured the first week, and obviously there's some other supplemental exercises. I mean, we pulled out the wazoo. I mean, like there's all types of stuff. There's split squats in there. There's barbell lunges. There's barbell front lunges with the front, reverse lunges with the front rack. There's chin-ups, pull-ups, Bulgarian squats, dumbbell bench, monster walks, band cha-cha. I stole that from an Instagram. Boom, boom, boom. Side, back, 45, back. Just band around the ankles type deal. Burn the hips up a little bit. Walking lunges, one-arm dumbbell rows, 1, 2, 3 toss, which is med ball exercise with your for your abs. Side planks with a twist. YTW for your shoulders. Let's see, dumbbell front press, just make sure you're going in the neutral press or the press. Glute hand raises, leg curls, forearm curls, weighted circles, leg lifts, shrugs. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Bent over rows, TKEs, anything you can think of. That's just week 1. I just literally just talked about week 1. So it's a serious program, big time serious program. Before I go to anything else, you want to talk about week 1 with online?
Well, one thing I was gonna say is when you was talking about undulated, and I wanted to make sure that they understood. When he says up and down and up and down, what he's saying is like your percentages can go up and down, your reps can go up and down. Like that's what he's saying there. With it can be your weight or it can be your reps. Like everything can really change from week to week. That's what he means by undulated. But just talking about online real quick. I mean, we're keeping it pretty similar to what we're doing here in the gym as far as intensity, very high rep ranges. There, the reps are going to stay pretty consistent with maybe a little fluctuating up and down. But since there isn't really any weight involved, we keep the reps really, really high, just because we want to keep the intensity up to match what we're doing here in the gym. That's pretty much the main focus I wanted to get across here is just the match intensity. We're going to keep the reps high.
Yeah. So like I talked about week 1. So like that was 3 sets of 12 at 55%. So week 2, that's not week 2. Week 2 we do 4 sets of 8. So we went 3 sets of 12 the first week at 55%. Then the second week, we're going to go 4 sets of 8 at 65%. All right. And then when you get to week 3, you go back to 3 sets of 12. So you remember the second week was 4 sets of 8 at 65%. Now we're going back to 3 sets of 12 at 62.5%. So that 62.5% obviously is lower than the week before, but it actually correlates with the first week of the 3x12 that was at 55%. All right, so you went 55%, and you go 62.5. In between there was 65%. Okay, week 4 they go back to 4x8, but they go back to 65%. Okay, it's just going up, going down, going up, going down, but that intensity is still rising as the reps are going down. So your duration going down, intensity going up. All right. So and the other thing that I did too is so week 1 and week 2, the accessory exercises were exactly the same set, same reps. Week 3 and week 4, I changed the accessories. So like when we was doing, sorry, I lied. Week 1 and week 3 had the same accessories. Week 2 and week 4 have the same accessories. So week 1, like I was talking about, they got the split squats and stuff like that. So instead of doing a split squat on week 2, they're going to do step ups. Instead of doing a bent over row with the barbell, they're going to do a 1-arm dumbbell row. You know, it's the same movement but a different exercise. So it's constantly changing as far as like, you know, there's nobody that's going to technically get bored with this with this workout program. I'm not a big type person on the spontaneous bounce around, changing stuff all the time. But what I did was I didn't really change anything, but I just changed the exercise, but it's still the same movement. Okay, because they are my exercises. We talked about this before. We have a huge exercise library, so I'm really showing you my exercise library when I put this program together. I'm showing you how you can do the same movements either unilaterally or you go on one arm, or you go unilaterally just means, you know, one side at a time. So you're just changing up the exercises a little bit. So there's different types of rows you do. You do chest supported rows, you can do single arm row, you do 2 dumbbell row, you can do barbell row, you can do inverted row, you can do barbell row with your hands reversed, you can do bandit row, cable row, low row, row. You both that like there's so many different rows in there. Same thing with single leg work. So when I love single leg work. That's the only thing that's going to make your legs grow. A lot of people are always like, "Ooh, I want a bigger butt and all this other stuff. I'm just gonna squat, or I'm gonna do every exercise with a band." Wrong. All right. Different leg exercises will shape your butt a different way. They will also grow your legs. Also, make sure you don't pinpoint one area at a time. If you want to sit there and pinpoint one area, you can actually form your body to almost look like the Kardashians, where you have a big butt and skinny legs, because you only pinpoint one part of that muscle, and you're tiring out that one muscle. You can blow a butt muscle if you keep playing around. Like you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're working the whole leg. So that's okay.
You can also create imbalances in your body
right.
That as well. So if, like, let's say you one of those players that want those very defined quads, so all you work is quad, walking around trying to look like Saquon, Quadzilla. Your hamstrings can like really suffer from that, and you'll be walking around and wondering why you're always pulling hamstrings. It's because you don't train them enough. If you train one side without training the other, then you're definitely at risk of injury then.
I want you to also think about too. Usually your posterior muscles have more muscles to the body part. That makes sense. Take your bicep, your tricep is actually in the title. Bi is 2, tri is 3. So which one do you need to work more? Your tricep. Elbow mobility over here. All right. But anyway, but yes, you want to work both. But the biggest thing is you want to make sure you're working more posterior chain than you're working more in the front. Everything that we do all day long is always front. We open the door, we're front. You know, you're pushing. Everything's a push, pretty much. You're walking, push. You're stepping up, push. So a lot of the stuff that we need to do, we need to pull. That's why there's a lot of work with RDLs. There's a lot of work with glute ham raises. There's a lot of work with leg curls. There's a lot of work with back extensions. There's a lot of work with good mornings. That type of stuff. You are glute bridges. That any of those type things. We're working on posterior chain pulls as far as like I'm not going back all through those rows all over again. But you got those rows. You also got your vertical pulls with your chin-ups and your pull-ups, all that type of stuff. So we're making sure we are working the full body. Full body. These two guys actually have already gone through the first 4 weeks of this program. They were like my guinea pigs as far as I wanted to see if I broke them down, then I had to change the program a little bit. And they worked all day outside doing a lot of maintenance type stuff as far as, putting things together. So I wanted to see people that actually work a true 9 to 5, constantly working, seeing if they did this program consistently the 4 days a week, if their body broke down, and they didn't. And there's going to be a reasons why, because we're actually going to talk about those other reasons why they didn't break down. This workout, I just said, this workout will break down the muscles, but there's going to be reasons why you don't completely break down. I want to break down the muscles so you grow, but I don't want you to break down that you turn into rhabdo. So we're going to talk about why we don't want to reach that part. So let's kind of go into like the stretching and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and just one quick thing. We also, we look at the program, we've also incorporated a lot of core movements. And I know people like,
Unlimited core.
unlimited core. But here's the thing, like, I heard this, I think, the other day. It's like, especially during summertime, we want that 6-pack, 8-pack, 10-pack. If you have a 10-pack, dear God, why? But anyways, just because...
Ice cold beers.
one part is that's going to be nutrition on how you define your core and how your 6-pack is. But just because you have a 6-pack does not mean you have a strong core.
There you go.
So especially your core, there's a reason why it's important. It's your core. You got to work on that pretty much the most in order to maintain stability and make sure you're not, as we talk about, imbalance or causing anything weird in your body, because you need your core to, function basically. That's that. So a lot of it, we do have implement a lot of core movements, not just crunches, but we added a lot of rotation. We added a lot more like planks and that kind of stuff. So we're hitting different parts of the core and all that good stuff. So
The whole thing, from the top to the bottom and the sides.
Well, a strong core, it'll help you with any movement. You got a strong
Yeah.
core, it'll help your squats. You
Yeah.
got a strong core, it'll help your bench. Like, it helps everything that you do if your core is strong. That's just like you said, it's the center point of everything.
And you want to, here's another thing too, if you ever watch our videos, so if you go to our Instagram page, every morning I'm always posting videos of the workouts and stuff like that. If you ever wonder why my people aren't wearing belts, because I know I've had actually people ask me a question, they're like, oh, the people aren't wearing belts, why aren't they wearing belts? They're lifting weights, they're lifting heavy. Yeah, but it's not 80%, because we train our core. We train our core to be really strong. You gotta train it to be strong. You gotta do core work, you gotta do the extra accessory stuff. You can't skip the meat and the potatoes, okay?
Yeah.
The meat, I guess the meat part would actually be the core exercise, but you can't skip your veggies and potatoes.
For me, like they're saying, like core is really, really important. I get that question all the time whenever I post my videos of me squatting or deadlifting or something, like, where's your belt? Where's your spotter? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't wear a belt or shouldn't wear a spotter, but me personally, I don't wear a belt unless I'm maxing out. I don't recommend, especially if you're new to lifting, to do that. Like he said, 80% is really where you need to start wearing a belt. But me personally, I'm so big on training my core, and I train my core every day, that I don't wear one unless I'm probably around 90-95% of my max, or if I'm maxing out. That's just me personally. Because my two favorite things to work on, like lifting wise, is they actually just said it: core and post chain. Those are my two favorites. I love posterior chain exercise, RDLs, deadlifts, good mornings, glute bridges, anything you can think of that's post chain, back extensions. I love it. But that's just me. I know the importance of it, and that's why we train it so much here, and that's why he programmed so much core and post chain, because it is very important. That's why I put so much of it into the online programming as well. Like every day you're doing some sort of ab, every day you're doing some sort of post chain, if not multiple of each one. And like it could be in each circuit for that day, like just because we know the importance of it.
So like we touched on it a little bit, and we're gonna actually so we're kind of like done with the program part. We're gonna talk about like the stretching part, and so your pre and your post, and making sure we're limiting the imbalances. Because I know a lot of times people that train will train this hard and all of a sudden they can't continue the training process because they're getting banged up, they're getting beat up. Yes, your body's going to break down, but what we're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that you avoid smaller injuries. The reason why we have so much accessory work is because you have to train those small muscles. Usually when you get injuries, the injuries are coming from the smaller muscles, not necessarily the bigger muscle. Because everybody knows, like, oh, I can press, but you're building that big muscle, but you haven't done anything to work the small muscles. So that's why we do a lot of like the warm ups. There's activation with that. If you want to go back to an older podcast, you can see all of our activation and pre-workout, pre-warm up type stuff, and the post warm up. But anybody got anything like kind of like want to talk about like more in depth?
Stretching?
Yeah.
Yes. So he talks about he classify everything as stretching, but pre-workout you're doing more warm up stuff. Like you don't want to go like into deep stretches before working out. Because like let's say for a squat, for instance, if you overstretch, like you're trying to get a big stretch before a squat, well now your muscles are looser than they normally are, so your body isn't used to functioning with your muscles that loose. So then you risk injury doing that. But you want to warm up with some barbell squats, some PVC pipe overhead squats, just doing some glute ham rocks or something like that. Just doing movements to warm up the area that you're about to use, and doing movements to warm up the whole body just to get blood flowing and that kind of stuff. So we do really before the workout, you're doing a warm up. Now after your workout, that's when you go into stretching. You're doing deep tissue stretching at that point. So just to retract real quick, before working out, one thing you want to do is like foam roll to get your muscles nice and loose. But going back to after you work out, we do band stretches. So take a band, put it over your foot, pulling it back, counting for the 10 count or whatever, going back down, coming back, trying to get a little further. So you want to do your deep stretching stuff like that after your workout.
And when we're talking about deep stretches, we're not just talking about you do a stretch for like 5-10 seconds. We're talking about like 15 to 30 seconds.
Yes.
Like you don't want to like be in and out during your post like stretch. Say, oh, you know what? I got 10 minutes before I gotta go, and you leave in 1 minute. Like take those 10 minutes and really stretch out, because trust me, your muscles are going to be tight, and if you don't stretch them out properly, it's going to build up to a moment where it's going to hurt, or you're going to be stiff, or you're going to be really sore. I'm not saying you're not going to be sore. I'm going to say you're going to be more sore than you could have been, basically.
Yeah. Just because I want to clarify, because I thank you, Austin, for saying what you said. When I said 10 seconds, what I mean is like, if you're doing 10 seconds, you come back, you're going right back into that same leg, you pulling back again to do another 10 seconds, you're coming back that same leg again to do another 10, and that's the kind of way you get that 30 from. Like, you're doing maybe 10 on, 10 off, or you can do a solid 30, like depending on preference, what kind of stretching you're doing, whether you're doing PNF or, which is PNF. It just left my head.
It's been a while since I've been to school.
I know the neuromuscular facilitation. Left my head just that fast. I had it, but PNF, look it up.
It's the best one. It's the best one for post stretch.
PNF is definitely the best one for post stretch. But so you do want to take that time to make sure you're stretching out the muscles, because like Austin said, that can be the difference between not being sore and being sore.
Look it up.
Oh yeah, he's gonna look it up real quick. But that could definitely be the difference between being sore and not being sore, just literally stretching out the muscles.
And if you don't have to, like, I know a lot of our people that do classes in the morning, they have to go to work, so they don't have a lot of time, to really like get full and stretch. But find a time to do the stretches either way, because you don't want to be like, oh, it's okay, I'll go home, or I'll just go to work, come home, and just chill. I tell you, the next morning, your body's going to be like stiff as a board. You're going to be like, why is my body so stiff, and why can I move as well, and why am I not lifting as heavy as I could be? Well, because you didn't stretch afterwards, and your muscles are like, whoa, we need like 10 times more of the recovery now than what you compared to like if you did stretch and everything. And when we're talking about, you can do our stretches and everything, but if you don't have time, go home, do some yoga. Like yoga is a good way you get full body stretches out of it.
Yoga, if you have a Theragun, like I at night I try to do yoga. I'm not that great at it, so a lot of times I get pissed off and I just end up just using my Theragun. I do use also too ibuprofen because I do get beat up a lot with my workout. So I try. Recovery is a big thing. It's a very big part. Like obviously I do weight training as a sport, as well as I coach it as well. But because I do it as a sport, I have to keep my body in a certain tip-top shape as far as like nutrition, which we're going to go into later. Nutrition has to be on point. The way you recover has to be on point. The way you actually train has to be on point. The way you sleep, that is a big part too. Sometimes I like to say sleep outside of recovery because a lot of people don't think about sleep being in recovery. Making sure you're limiting your drinking activities on the weekends. That hinders your performance. Certain supplements you may take may hinder your performance. Not necessarily like that's more of a different type of subject. Like you have to like really be taking like some serious like hard stuff to hinder your performance. If you're taking like a vitamin and your omega-3s and protein shakes and pre-workout, that's not necessarily going to hinder your performance. I'm talking about completely different other stuff. But the recovery is a big part. Making sure I use my Theragun, making sure I'm stretching with a band. I use a PVC pipe because I have to stretch my lats and also back here, right behind my armpits here. All that has to be stretched out because we're constantly, everything that I do is pretty much overhead with the snatch or overhead with the jerk. Cleans might have to get my elbows to rotate through and everything's got to be comfortable because as I'm starting to get heavier and heavier in weights, like everything has to move a certain way. It's got to be fluent. I got to make sure I'm able to pull myself underneath the bar and nothing is like jerking and all that type of stuff because you will put yourself out of the game if you injure yourself that well. I mean, like those little small muscles, like I was talking about earlier, that you got to take those little different things serious. I think we have what PNF is now.
Yes. So PNF stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
There you go.
So everyone kind of know what proprioception is, but that's what it stands for, is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
So with the PNF stretching, my biggest thing, I love PNF stretching, especially like the way that I go through with the band stretch. I start with the hamstrings obviously first. Start with that. I pull that for about 15 to 30 seconds. I let that go down, and then I pull it back up again. Obviously, I'm laying on my back. Pull my legs, make sure my knee is locked out, and then actually I should be able to get closer. My foot should be able to get closer to my face this time because I have stretched it, released it, and stretched it again. So I do love doing PNF stretching to make sure I'm really getting a really, really good stretch. Sometimes, because I also, like we were talking about imbalances, so I also do, my brother's a physical therapist, so I work with him a lot on different things, making sure my hips are right. Because I often, if you're like me, you sit on your wallet sometimes, and that literally puts your hips this kind of way. Because I have, obviously my wallet's on my right side, so I kind of like, I sit like this a lot. And that kind of like messes with your spine. So going with that type of stuff, with stuff that he does for my hips, my sacrum gets a little off a little bit. Sometimes I even go to a chiropractor as well to make sure I, kind of like get that quick release if it's needed, and then realign my spine, realign my neck, all that type of stuff, shoulders and everything. I'm actually going to venture out and do some cupping and see how that works out. I've heard a lot of good things about cupping. Done dry needling. That's a good therapy type deal. Like I said, Theragun is always that. You can do that by yourself, or you can buy the. It literally just left my mind. The electrodes, the TENS unit. There we go. Yeah, I used to be a big time TENS unit person, especially on my quads and my shoulders. That was a big time thing. But then I realized you really have to know what you're doing with the TENS unit. And I was just putting it on TENS unit because I was hurting. I didn't realize it was actually other stuff that I was doing that I needed to change, as far as like my stretching and stuff like that was the main reason why I was hurting. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, it was a hard day, I'm putting TENS unit on there, because TENS unit won't work if you're not doing the other parts that you're supposed to be doing. So it all comes full circle.
So they pretty much hit a lot of good points on recovery. Like that's what really we're trying to focus on here. But I don't know if you're kind of ready to go into nutrition, but I know nutrition is a big part of your recovery too, because if you're not eating right, then that can cause a lot of soreness. That can cause a lot of reasons why you're always fatigued and stuff like that. But to me, nutrition is a big part of your recovery and your working out process. It's just your nutrition is just a big part of everything. So I don't know if you.
Yeah, well, we're ready to go. Let's talk about like what would be a proper nutrition for a program like this.
So a program like this, where you have the higher reps, the higher rep ranges, your macros and your meal plan will change. Always, depending upon how you're working out, your macros will change. If you're working out hard like this, we're going to up your macros a little bit. Like we said in the past, macros are based on an individual basis. But we're going to go on, if you're doing your protein, is always going to be 1 gram of protein per goal body weight. So they recommend it's like 0.8 to 1.5 grams per pound of goal body weight. So I just say 1. It's in the middle, makes it easy. Just do 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. And then as far as your carbs and your fats go, we can tweak those depending on who it is. Me, I react better to a high carb, low fat. So my carbs are really high. Right now I'm intaking about 370 grams of carbs, like 100 grams of fat.
Okay.
Lester's the opposite. He does go with low carb, high fat. So he may be at 150 grams of carb, 150 grams of fat, and 100 grams of carbs. But everyone's body reacts differently. So what I normally do when I set your macros is I'll set your protein, and what your protein is, that won't change unless your goal changes for your body weight or your composition. But we'll start with either high fat or high carb. If you've done a diet or a meal plan in the past, if you've gotten good results on it, we'll try and figure out which way you went, and we'll start with that. If that doesn't work, we'll bring it back to 50-50. Sometimes 50-50 works, depending upon each person's body. And then we'll switch it. We'll just keep tweaking the percentages until we get it right. I always say if we're going to tweak them, whatever one we start with, we'll stay on that for 2 weeks, see how your body reacts. If you get no reaction, then we'll change it. 2 more weeks, and then every 2 weeks, we'll keep changing until you find which way your body reacts, because it needs that time to adjust in order to react. Like I said, once we learn which way your body reacts to, it's going to be very simple to figure out exactly what we got to do to get to a certain goal or body weight. Especially working out this hard, you're definitely going to need a higher caloric intake. Just because the program's that way. I just finished, like you said, the first month of this program. We just started month 2 today. So definitely had to up our calories for month 1. At first going into it, didn't realize that. The first day or 2 were like crap. We didn't eat enough today, so we got to change that for the rest of the week. So we definitely got to change it, but obviously male, female are different. Female's body reacts differently to different workouts. A lot of females say, I want to do more cardio. Well, if you want a certain physique, you need to implement resistance training and weight training in order to get there. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to eat this much, I need to lose weight. Well, if you're not eating enough protein, I'm just saying most females in general slack in the protein department. They're intaking 60 to 80 grams of protein a day at the most, which isn't anywhere near where you need to be unless you weigh 80 pounds. And most females that have a goal want to be around, usually between 115 and 130, depending upon your height. It's usually if you want that toned physique, it all depends upon your height as well.
So just I like to ask questions just to give
Go ahead.
help people answer their questions. So you said you find people's protein is pretty much 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight where they want to be, right?
Where your goal body weight is. So if you weigh, we'll say when I started, I weighed 140 pounds when I started lifting. I wanted to get to 180, so I was intaking 180 grams of protein a day because you want to have enough protein in your body to help grow the muscles to be at 180.
So you're taking that protein and that protein number won't change depending on the program. What's going to change is going to be the
Correct.
carbs and the fats.
Correct. You have to intake your caloric intake based on your carbs and your fats. So for us, with the program being so hard, you get to up our carbs because your body uses your carbs for your energy first. Now, if you react on a high-fat diet, I might jack the fats up a little bit because you're used to eating them and you like them better. Just to help you use that, or you're still going to have to intake more carbs for your energy. It's going to burn through your carbs first.
Yeah. And the only other point I really kind of wanted you to kind of touch on, because remember I had this problem too. a while back is meal timing, because you
Correct.
remember whenever I first started trying to get my nutrition right, I was like, I knew I needed to be in a deficit, so I'm like, maybe if I eat a big dinner or whatever, I'll eat light throughout the day, but I was really exhausted from my workouts, so I'd come in and I'd be lightheaded and stuff like that.
So one of the biggest things with meal timing is I would say meal timing is important, but you got to make sure you're eating your meals at the proper time of day. So if you're going to do this workout with this program at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you better intake a decent meal at like 3:30-ish, give or take, 3 o'clock or 3:45. That's in that time frame, somewhere around 3:30, because by that time it takes your body about usually around an hour and a half for your body to actually use what you just ate. So if you come in here and say, oh, I just ate on the way here, that food you just intake is not ready to be used for energy during that workout 10 minutes later. It's just not there yet. It hasn't processed through your body. It hasn't digested properly. It might actually make you sick if you eat that close to your workout. You may actually end up getting sick during your workout. But
I usually eat. Let's see. We talk about, like, I'm probably up the longest out of everybody, I think. But let's say, like, I try to get my 5 to 6 meals in a day, and usually when I train, I don't train until about like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But when I eat, my lunch meal is usually around like 1:30. I eat at 1:30, so then I can have it for later, and then I have like a bar or something on my way back here. So I eat at 1:30 as my meal. At 2:30, almost 3 o'clock, then I eat like a small little protein bar or something like that, just to use like for later. To eat. That's not necessarily for the actual workout. That's just so I can finish the workout to
Right.
help what he's talking about.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He said meal timing. A lot of people are doing intermittent fasting right now, which is good if it works for you. Some people it works well and you lose a lot of weight. Some people, like I tried it, I didn't lose any weight on it. I actually ended up gaining weight on it because my way my timing of my meals were. So timing of your meals is very important depending upon your goals as well. Like you said, the higher intensity workout, you got to make sure that meal about an hour and a half before your workout is actually timed right there on purpose. It's there for specific reasons so you have the proper energy to complete the workout. Same thing with athletes. Make sure you're eating, if you eat lunch at noon, you're going to have a game at 5. Make sure you're eating something around 3 o'clock when you get out of school before your game.
Yeah. So he said, just like he said, like intermittent fasting might work for some people. It's not going to work for everybody. Everything we say is almost a case-to-case basis, especially with nutrition. But we don't want you coming in, like with Matt being a nutritionist, if you come talk to Matt, don't come in right away and just knock whatever he's trying to tell you to do. Because I know a lot of people that come in, well, my body works like this, so I need to do this. Well, if you already know how your body works, you probably have the body that you want. So my recommendation would be, let's listen to what he tries to tell you first. If he tells you to do it a certain way, I would do it that way first. If it doesn't work, then let's look at another option. Because we can always tweak stuff, but he's trying to put his best plan forward to get you the results the best way he knows how. And so obviously we understand everyone's body work different. And if you do have a certain input, like he'll take the input, but just kind of work with whatever he says. That way, because obviously all of us here are trying to get the best results possible for you.
Yeah. So like he said, if you say, oh, well, I know my body works this way, I need a low-carb diet. Awesome. You know that's worked before? Let's try it. Let's start there. If you know your body reacts like that. If it doesn't react that way, and you don't have the body you want, that means somewhere along the lines, you got off track. And you went back to eating whatever you wanted or drinking 5 days a week or whatever it is gets you off track. If your body reacts that, cool. You know that, let's start there. Let's try that for 2 weeks to a month if you notice how your body reacts. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't react right, then it was something else that got you those results, not this. And then we'll tweak it, like you said, as we need to get into your results.
Just to give y'all an idea of like these coaches up here, they've like all of us have been tested because we've been tested from a standpoint of knowing what we're doing. Because I can tell you these ones up here have been tested because me being a coach myself and me going to school for this, I ask all kind of questions. Like I make sure they understand it. Okay, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's gonna work. Like they have to go in depth with me because since I do have some a background in this, like if he got a workout that I don't agree with, I'm gonna question him about it. If he say something nutrition wise that I don't agree with, I'm gonna question him about it. If I can say anything else, I give them the test. If they pass.
I mean, that's always a good thing with growing. I mean, like there's, we've talked various times on nutrition. We've talked various times on elbow mobility over here. Back and forth with programming and stuff like that. There's several ways to skin a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Several ways to skin a cat. But the biggest thing is if you know one way, be confident in your way and be able to back it up. If you can't back it up, that's just what's going to make you fail. I can go. Oh, go ahead. No, I was like, we can sit here and go, toe to toe with anybody. I'm not going to sit here and talk about I brag about, oh yeah, I've coached college athletes, I've coached pro athletes, I know what I'm doing. That absolutely doesn't mean a hill of beans if I'm not able to translate this to my everyday people that I have now, which I'm able to. I mean, and if you want to, try out what we do, the only way you do it, you have to come in. There's a reason why the people that we train look a certain way. Obviously, they some of them have everybody has a different type body. Everybody started a different way, and everybody looks a different way. We all, one things that we always do is we look at the skin folds. We test them every quarter. So I got skin folds going on this week for this program. So they got a starting point, and then we're going to do it again in 4 weeks, and then we'll do it again in the next 4 weeks, and then we'll do it again at the end of this program. So wherever they at the beginning of this program, they should be completely different by week 12 if they're following everything that I'm putting down on paper, and they're following. If they're working with Matt with nutrition, they should have a completely different outlook. Now, obviously, in a 12-week span, it may not be like you losing 10% body fat unless you just came off the couch or something like that. But these people have been training. So the one thing that I look for is I'm looking more in a 12-week span. I'm looking more for a 5 to an 8% difference, because we have been training these people for so long. There's only so much that's going to change. They're going to get leaner no matter what. They're going to always get leaner. But the biggest thing is making sure their body composition is changing.
And saying that, their body's changing. If you don't do this, or if you haven't in the past, always take pictures. If you don't want to share them with anybody, you want to keep them to yourself because you don't feel confident in your body, you don't like the way you look right now. Take them now. Because I promise you, if you do not, when you get to this point, you're going to say, crap, I should take a before picture. Even if I don't share it till I ever got the body I want, at least you have your journey of pictures.
Every Sunday I take pictures.
Every week. I started super skinny. I was 130 pounds, 140 pounds. Now I'm 195. Lester was over 300 pounds. Now he's down to 275, 280, depending on what day it is.
Yeah.
Unless you take those photos and put it side by side, you won't truly see the difference because you see yourself every day.
Yeah.
So I harp myself, I'm not anywhere where I want to be. But people look at my now photo, they say, oh, I wish your day 1 photos was my, day 110 photo. Well, let's get you there. Let's get you to that goal.
The point he's making here is if you don't take the pictures, you might regret it because of you lost that journey. And now, if you want to share it, you can't share it. A point I'm gonna try to make, because he kind of made towards the end there as well, is sometimes you don't see the progress.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get discouraged because you don't see a difference because you do see yourself every day. And if you go back the 15, 20 days from that first picture and then look at yourself, you can see the difference in that point. Just in a 20, let's say a 20-day window, you can see a huge difference. You won't see it if you're just looking at yourself in the mirror every day. But if you look at a picture from 20 days ago to now, you'll definitely see a big difference.
And just stay on your journey. You never know who's watching, we'll say. Like you said.
And if you don't, if you keep falling off the wagon, come to Next Level Fit. We'll keep you on that wagon.
And one thing to do, it's fun. These coaches right here, if nothing else, will make you laugh.
Listen, it's fun. We will hold you accountable. We have a good group of people that come here.
Uh-huh.
They hold you accountable as well. Like it's like one big family here.
And so
I mean,
we have classes, and if you want to come to a set time, hey, those girls, those guys at that class, they have been coming at that same time for weeks or months, and they'll invite you in like you've been here those weeks and months.
Every group is family. Every group, you know,
Mhm.
I'm sure they probably got a group text with just about every group. I'm not in them.
Probably talking trash.
You know, but like they keep each other accountable. That's the one big thing too. Like if somebody's missing out of that group, they're like, where you at? You know, they're sending a text message. They're like, you know, they call each other out on Facebook. I'm not a big time person on calling somebody out, but I like it when they call you out because it's going to mean something different from your actual peers looking for you than it's good for me. So you know, that's how I run my show. I run it. I mean, everything about me and running this thing is like I did with athletics. I know I say I hate keep talking about it, but that's how I run it. The same way that we used to run things at the college, it wasn't up to the coaches to get the players in line all the time. It had to start in the locker room. So this is the same type deal. It begins with I put y'all together in a group, and then y'all have to keep each other together. That's how we do it. And it keeps each other accountable. Like they share each other's pictures, they take pictures, they show each other off. Like it is a big time family up here at Next Level Fit, and we got two different options. And I mean, we're trying to grow a different side of the family to bring other people in that are not necessarily in the area, or if they're in the area, they're still trying to kind of like weirded out with the whole COVID-19 stuff. So you got the online option as well. I mean, how many gyms out there do you have an online option as well as an in-house option, and you pay one price to do either or? Yeah. Some people, that's an add-on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's option B if something happens, your kid gets sick. Well, hell, guess what? You're going to have his program, or Santuan posts his program.
Yeah.
All you got to do is watch the video and shoot one of the coaches a text, and we'll shoot the program for the day.
I mean, like we started a little bit behind it when we wanted to because of the whole quarantine stuff. But this summer program, I can't express it enough. We put a lot of work into putting this program together, and it is going to be the best program that has come out of this gym. And I'm actually kind of scared because I'm already working on the next program. I'm like, how do I top this? Because I put so much stuff into this one. I'm like, you know, when I start working on the next program, like I kind of like put stuff in my head, like, all right, I'm going to change this, I'm going to tweak this, I'm going to tweak that. But it's like, how do I make stuff better? How do I continue to make stuff better? Obviously, I teach myself, I keep learning, you know, all that type of stuff. But I love being underneath that pressure. I love that pressure of, I'm going to keep bringing more, you keep bringing more, we all bring more together, and, you know, we just keep growing this place. But yeah, so that's us getting ready for this Jack the Tan program, which I said started today. Obviously, when you see this, it will be Wednesday, so we will already be day 3 of this program, which will be our cardio day at that point. So we're doing 4 days of strength, 2 days of cardio. You're doing 4 days, 4 days total, but it's a mix of strength and cardio all together on the online. So I mean, like, this is a big time program. You talk to Matt about nutrition. You talk to Austin about elbow mobility, and I keep saying that over and over. If y'all don't know what elbow mobility is, we say it a lot here because he always talks about adding curls in. So that's the elbow mobility. So if you wanna wear a t-shirt like him, the chest all.
If you want to know what bro pump is, I'll teach you.
Yeah, he's our bro pump guy. But all right, so that's pretty much all I got with the for this episode of Jack and Tan. We're talking about the Jack and Tan program. We're talking about, you know, the online program as well. Anybody else got anything?
Stay hydrated. It's summertime.
It is summertime. I don't know about y'all. I don't know where you at, but it is 92 degrees, feeling like 105. So hydrate or die. See, that water is almost empty. Hydrate or die. Hydrate or die. All right. So make sure we're eating right. We're hydrating. We're recovering. We're doing our stretches. We're doing our warm-ups. We're doing the actual workout. We're working throughout the day. We're giving ourselves some time for mental stability, all that type stuff. We're giving our time for family, friends. It's summertime. Summertime. I'm going to sing later. But anyway, all right, we out. See you guys.
Later.